So BNI stands for Business Network International. Today we have over 500 business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs on that platform locally, and globally we have over 300,000. So in terms of numbers, these businesses have done business of over 153 billion Uganda shillings. Yes, we are a small microeconomy of our own, and this business, it's as little sometimes as 10,000 for the person who's selling water, and as big as 1 billion for the person who gets that contract. Running for that race really tested my values. It really tested my value system. There are many things that in a political race, for example, sometimes people challenge you to do. And for example, I went into campaign and I entered one law firm, and being not politically savvy, I had gone alone. And I thought, I'll get a chance, meet people, talk to them, answer questions, and move on to the next law firm. I immediately thought it was a very professional space. They say you cannot vote another lady after immediate past president being a lady. They said she doesn't look very serious. She's always smiling. It shook me. It shook me because I had to believe in myself in another way. Very few people believed I was capable. I didn't have people saying, you can do it. I had people saying, why? With this very puzzled expression of their faces. So I'm part of a program called Project Girls for Girls. It's a global project, and it was born out of Harvard University. One of the stories that comes to mind is a story of a young doctor we met in medical school. She had not yet graduated. And when we were doing the course, I'm telling them, you're a leader. Take that leadership mantle and go out and make a difference. In her community, there was a couple and there was daily domestic violence. So she one day went at a convenient time, knocked on the door, went into the room and educated the couple on the dangers of domestic violence. And she was able to explain to the husband that every day you beat this lady, there's actually trauma. Physical trauma, emotional trauma, mental trauma, and in case anything happens to her, you can actually be liable for her death. This young girl who was living in that community, daily facing the burden of hearing the pain of another woman, was able to go in using her power and educate. You see, it's a different conversation from accuse, berate, abuse, but educate.
For the uninitiated, those who are watching and do not know what BNI is, please break it down.
So BNI stands for Business Network International. It is a global organization. So I think that's sometimes the conception people need to get. And it's been around for over 40 years. So I had the privilege of bringing it to Uganda. And in Uganda, what BNI does really is to help connect business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs, and how does it connect them? It gives them access to a platform through which they can connect with business owners across the globe in over 79 countries and business owners in Uganda. Today we have over 500 business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs on that platform locally, and globally we have over 300,000 business owners, CEOs. Now, for the uninitiated, very simply, BNI is a platform which allows you access to like-minded business owners, entrepreneurs. Its purpose is to help businesses grow through structured marketing. So on that platform, a business owner, entrepreneur, CEO has access to a strong networks through which he can grow his business direct through sales or through getting ideas, partnerships through which can help him leverage his business.
Is there a limit, or do you have a threshold concerning the entry part, right? If a business wants to join,
yes.
What are the requirements to join this?
All right. So first, there must be a business owner, and the business owner must be running their business. So what that means is that if you're running any business, from carpenter all the way to running a billion school industry, we have them in BNI. From hairdresser, fashion, designer, all the way to people running big manufacturing, construction companies, we have them in BNI. So the first and most critical element is you must be running a business. We're not so worried about the length, how long have you run this business. So we have startups in BNI, but the only requirement is, can you do what you say you will do when you say you will do it? Do you have integrity? Are you credible? The other thing is that BNI is very structured. So we meet weekly. This is either online or in person. So for a business owner, you must be able to commit that time to meet in person or or online weekly. So that's a structure. And then we also expect members to engage outside the meeting space and visit each other's premises, virtually or physically. So again, what I will say, BNI requires very structured business owners, professionals who are willing to do what they say they will do when they say they will do it, and it requires you to be very, very positive in your outlook, because you're going to meet people from different walks of life, you're going to engage with people from different walks of life, and not everyone thinks like you and does things like you. So the question is, how can you leverage, how can you use their network to access success for yourself in the different spaces? So you must be very positive, you must seize the opportunity. So bottom line, the business must be registered and it must have a tax registration number. We look for businesses which are in compliance, because when we create opportunities for you, you must be able to walk in and actually do the business and ensure compliance with the local laws, especially tax. So I'm a lawyer by training, and I was working in a law firm, and I met a client who was telling me about BNI, Business Network. And I remember when he told me network, I said, no, thank you, I am very well networked. I'm not looking for new networks. And then he mentioned to me that, no, this is a space where people actually help each other. So I think that's what got me. So 7 months later, I flew to Nairobi to go to meet business owners in this community called Business Network International. So when I attended my first meeting, I really was just observing. But when I was in the meeting room, the energy of business owners at 6:30 a.m. in Nairobi City hooked me and said, what is this? And they said, well, here talk about our business purely. It's not, the networking is for me, for my business. So when I was in that meeting room, people started sharing the business they had received from each other. And one gentleman stood up and said, oh, thank you very much, 15 million Kenya shillings, from another gentleman. And I said, to myself, how did he get it? He had actually connected him to an institution which needed computer hardware. So he had been able to close the sale through our business referral. So I turned to my neighbor and I asked her, so how much commission is being passed here in this transaction? And my neighbor, a very pleasant lady, looked at me like really I had come from, some godforsaken part of the world. And she said, in BNI, we don't do commission. It's purely giver's gain. So what hooked me to BNI is the value system. Yes. The philosophy is that where I can help you, let me help you grow your business, create that opportunity for you to walk into those doors, those rooms. And then where you can help me or you can help a third party, create the opportunity. Let it all go around. It may not necessarily be giving you and you giving me, but let us create an ecosystem in which we are all actively helping each other. So the most interesting thing, when I got hooked, I was sold. I said, oh my God, I have to take this to Kampala. So I engaged the team who are in Kenya and Dubai. They was overseeing East Africa. I said, I can do this. I came back to Uganda passionate. I made a list of 200 business owners who I was going to invite. And I started making calls. So on the very first meeting in July 2014, 60 people came.
Wow.
And then that very next week, now it had pumped up everybody. Now we're going to start, we're going to hit the road. 4 people came. And those 4 people were my girlfriend, you know, those people you're always hanging around with.
Right.
Yes, the second one is a cleaning company which I had been introduced to at a wedding meeting.
Wow.
So you see, we have powerful networks, but
Yes.
you know, you don't know who can help you. So I had asked a friend and she said, "Oh, I have a cleaning company friend, let me introduce you." The third one was a gentleman from India who had been looking for BNI for over 3 years and would always write to BNI Global and they would say, "Oh, not yet, we'll let you know." And then the fourth one was my friend who I grew up with, again, a dentist. And he said, "You know, what do I have to lose? Let me come on board." So that is how in 2014 I started building a BNI with those 4. Remember a list of 264 who showed up, and today I over 500 business owners.
When
today,
you saw 4 people come,
yes.
when you have broken, did you want to call
because
them?
I had, I'm a very positive minded person. I believe that 4 is better than 0 or 1.
Yes.
So for me, 4 was a multiple. I could work with, but for me, it was a mindset of people that really I struggled with, because people said, "What is this BMI thing? You meet at 6:30 a.m. No, Uganda is going to wake up at 6:30. You're helping each other. Do you know how many buffet thieves, thugs are going to be part of this because you're saying I'm helping, you know?" And I got very into positive, go for it. Yes. But at the heart of it, I believed what I had seen. I think I'm a person who believes in vision. If you can see it, it's possible. So I believe that what I had seen in Nairobi at 6:30 a.m., room full of business owners, passing business to the tune of over 15 million Kenya shillings in one transaction, I said, "No, we can do that." Sure. And so I had the courage and the conviction to keep going. But along the way, there would be wonderful people. I remember the first hotel we partnered with, Imperial Royal Hotel. The gentleman who helped me get access was a food and beverages manager called Patrick, and he held me by the hand and took me to the general manager and said, "Listen to this lady," because I had been to the food and beverages department. They had given me quotations in dollars. You know, I was 33 years old at that point. I couldn't see how I was going to overcome this barrier of getting access to a meeting venue. And the manager, the general manager, an old gentleman, John from Kenya, looked at me and I think really said, you know, but he said, "But will people come? Will people come at 6:30? And I said, "I believe they will." So he gave me an opportunity. And I've never looked back from there. So it's those small acts of kindness, those people who didn't have any reason to be invested in me, but took a bet on me. Those kept propelling me, and you know, faith in God, faith that this is in this season, this is what I have to do because to bring that vision to life. So that's how the journey. There's a lot more, but we can just finish this segment on just the beginning.
When you're speaking, I'm actually getting teary. I love your journey. It's very captivating, actually, and to see where you came from and where you are, 500 organizations, is just incredible. And you know, when I heard of BNI, I didn't know about BNI. I think there is a case to be made about the marketing and you know, public something.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
You get what I mean.
Yes.
And but when I attended one meeting, I've attended one.
Yes.
When I attended it, I experienced exactly what you're saying. I was in shock. That first of all, people could wake up at 6:30 in the morning on a Friday, right? And if you're waking up at this time, chances are you're going to spend a good half of your morning there. And since it is a Friday, the day is more or less dead, right? But when I heard the stories that these people were talking about, I was also intrigued. I was shocked. I was like, really? You know, they mentioned, I think it is, what do you call it? Thank you for
close business.
Thank you for close business, yes. When you look at that for the entire, you know, like from when you started 2014, 10 years now, right?
Yes, wow. 10 years next year.
Incredible. Yes. So from 2014 up till today, what is the total of that close business across all? Across all.
So roughly. Today we have over 500 business owners in 11 groups. And those groups meet on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday across different hotels in this city. We are opening Entebbe soon also, before end this year. And we're looking to go up country. So in terms of numbers, in money, these businesses over the 10 years have done business of over 153 billion Uganda shillings. Yes, we are a small microeconomy of our own. And this business, it's as little sometimes as 10,000 for the person who's selling water, and as big as 1 billion for the person who gets that contract to design and build, a huge estate. So, and that's why I'm being, for the one who's selling goods and services worth 10,000, there's space. For the one who's looking for a billion shilling contract, we've had $1 million contracts signed in BNI. So that cumulatively comes up to 153 billion as of this week. Yes, over 40,000 referrals, business referrals. I think people need to understand in BNI we pass referrals. So, but if you're looking for somebody who can deliver a good legal service, maybe I know just a person to refer. So I don't get a commission when I refer them, and in turn, I'm able to get referrals from other people who understand what I do and pass on.
There is not even a school of thought, but an understanding in business that to the extent that someone is contented in their progress, they can easily, with no cost requirement, hold the hand of someone else and bring them to that level.
Definitely.
Someone who is ahead of you will easily show you the door. Someone who is not ahead of you or is perhaps jealous of you will not do this. From what you're describing, the people in this environment are there. They might not have reached the epitome of the success they're looking for, but they are there in the heart, in the mind, in the spirit, everywhere. They are there.
Yes, they're on that journey, and they're willing to take other people along on that journey. One story I normally share now is a gentleman called Twine Gilbert, Twine Shots. He's very strong on social media, but he joined BNI and he used to say, barely making it, living hand to mouth, barely, closing a business, pricing wrong, but he joined BNI, and his positive attitude, I must say, he's a very structured young man. He's not yet 30, and he's been able to grow exponentially. He now has different business lines. He now brings in camera equipment, rents it out, sells it, in addition to the photography and videography, in addition to running a very successful social media profile. But all that growth is because he entered into a room with people and they began to change his mindset, and he began to be challenged. Is this, why are you charging this? Why don't you increase your price point if you're offering such a quality service, etc. So, and he's been able now to walk alongside and bring other people. At his young age, he's also guiding others, sharing his story, inspiring others, and using his social media platform to share the story of business owners. So Twine Shots on TikTok, but for me that's powerful, because the question is, who am I? That's a very powerful question. You are powerful. You are able to change lives. So Twine, at less than 30 years, is transforming businesses and business owners' lives because he believed that he too can create a difference. And because he's in a room of givers, he too can give. So each of us has something to give. And as you said, the mindset, the heart, the soul, once you're able to come into that space and give, then in turn you will receive.
For a person, you have mentioned that a person doing the business from 10,000 to millions, right? Yes. But walk me through the journey. I have a business. It is maybe making 200,000, right? Yes. I want to join BNI. How do I start from today? How do I know? All
right. So first point, you must visit a BNI chapter. That's the starting point.
What is a chapter?
A chapter is a group of business owners who meet weekly under the BNI umbrella and structure. And today we have meetings on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So if you're not in Kampala, you can get in online. If you go to our BNI website, bni.com, you will easily find BNIuganda.com, you will easily find chapters and you can register. You can also check out our LinkedIn, check out our Twitter, and you'll be able to get response if you're looking for a chapter online. Physically, we have chapters that meet at Skies on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We also have chapters that meet at Fairway Hotel and Imperial Royal Hotel. So if you're in any of those near any of those locations, you can choose. So when you enter the room, you're recognized as a visitor. After the meeting, you are allowed to share your thoughts. What did you observe? And you're also interviewed, very likely, if you'd like to become a member. Then they share information with you to help you make that decision. The next step is that we interview you at your premises to confirm that you're actually a credible business owner. And again, it's just, do you have a registered business? Is that business tax registered? I won't go into compliance, but is it tax registered? The more you do business, the more you realize you need to comply, and there's support in the room to help you get that compliance. So after you have been interviewed, you pay the membership fee. The membership fee is paid before or after the interview. The membership fee is now, with VAT, about 4 million. This membership fee then gives you access to over 500 business owners.
So, am I able to say I want to go to Skies?
Yes.
And there are different chapters in Skies.
Yes.
You mentioned you have 11, right?
Yes.
And there are 3 locations, so I'm figuring maybe in one hotel they have multiple.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe I want to...
Easiest bet is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Visit Skies Hotel, you'll find a chapter and you'll be able to enter the meeting room.
So I can go on Tuesday,
yes,
talk to those ones,
yes,
be there,
yes,
go on Wednesday,
yes,
go on Thursday,
yes,
and go on Friday,
yes,
as a visitor,
yes,
before I become a member.
Before you become a member.
How many times can I do that?
So you can visit a chapter twice, at most, before you become a member. Okay. Secondly, when you become a member, you'll be put in the system, so it will be easy to see that this person has visited before.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why do people visit sometimes multiple times? Because they are trying to find the right chapter for them. In BNI, we emphasize that when you join, your business is exclusive in the room. What does that mean? So if you're doing podcasting, Herbert, and you join a BNI chapter as a podcaster, nobody else can come into that room as a podcaster. Why is this emphasized? Because this exclusivity allows people to collaborate, allows people to give value without fearing competition. Okay? Now, your competitors are out there, you're in a room with this community of business givers, and these business givers are helping you grow. So some people want to sit in a room and be with people who are from the same industry. Some people are happy to be the first in the room in a unique industry and bring together a team that they can work with. All right? So sometimes the energy. So we have groups which are 90 members. Some people, that business group is too big for me.
True.
And we have groups which are averaging 30 members, 40 members, and they say this is just right. Mm-hmm. Some of those groups meet online. Mm-hmm. So somebody who travels a lot may make a choice and say, you know what, I'll choose a group which meets online. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
So if you visit, you will be in the system recorded, and many times joining, first they'll see, is there someone in this space who has a category conflict, who's conflicting, and if there's none, then you can put in your application. If you can't, they will refer you to another group. Mm-hmm. So in addition to those 11 groups, we have 2 others still in formation in Kampala, and then we have in Entebbe, and then we have a group which is forming just for people in diaspora, Ugandans in diaspora, just for people who are not in Kampala, based out of town, Pakwach. We have someone who's doing honey in Pakwach, and they want to connect with business owners. So if you're in that category, also there's space for you. You don't have to be physically situated in Kampala or Uganda. There's a platform, and it's Wednesday where you can plug in. And again, the best way to get information is reach us on LinkedIn, reach us on Twitter, or go to our website and find a chapter to visit and come to the room. Yes.
From this description, it means you're going to have many groups.
Yes.
Because the businesses are many, and if there is to be no conflict in a chapter, then they have to create a new chapter.
Yes.
So they're going to be many.
Yes.
In Nairobi, where I would say the market is developed,
Yeah.
how many chapters?
There are 530. They have about 15 chapters. Yeah. So in, France, for example, where it's been for many years, you have over 20 groups, 20,000 members, 20,000 members. So those are millions, you know. In Japan, you have again over 50,000 members being part of, as I said, global network, you know.
We have BNI with 500 businesses.
Yes.
We have Rotary International.
Yes.
Which has members
Yes.
who are business owners as well.
Yes.
Rotary has thousands of
Yes.
people
Yes.
throughout the country
Yes.
and internationally,
Yes.
right? Why Rotary charges, I'd say maybe $150, $200, right? BNI, 4 million, roughly $1,000, right? Why am I paying $1,000 for 500 people versus 200 for thousands?
So that's a very interesting question. Herbert, what are you looking for? If you don't know where you're going, anywhere.
Is a destination.
Is
Is a final destination.
Exactly, anywhere. You go anywhere. So I'm a Rotarian. I'm a Rotarian because my father was a Rotarian. My father was a Rotarian in Kampala Arch. I'm in Kampala Arch. He lived a life of purpose. He passed away in 2012, but he gave. He loved Rotary with all his heart. We used to laugh that his blood was blue. He launched Rotary clubs. He was part of the people who grew Rotary in Uganda. He was committed to serving. And in Rotary, we say service above self. He inspired me to become a Rotarian. So I'm in Rotary to give back. I'm in Rotary to serve. I always say that my 10,000, when he contributed to other people's money, it becomes a million, it becomes 10 million, it builds a blood bank, it has the cancer run. So that's why I'm in Rotary. Because the values of Rotary to serve humanity resonate strongly with me, because I saw them lived out in my father. So BNI is a different animal or a different house. BNI is focused on helping the business entrepreneur, the business owner, the CEO, build a team, qualified team of quality referral marketing partners. So it supports the marketing arm of businesses, but it supports personal growth and development for business leaders. Okay? So in BNI, the structure facilitates the growth of people, of leaders, and the growth of business. Everything you do in the meeting is supposed to help generate opportunities for the members to grow their businesses and to grow their networks. Okay? So I don't know why other people are in Rotary, but they have to define that for themselves. But I know why I brought together a community of business leaders in Kampala to be under the umbrella of BNI. It's simply because everyone needs a helping hand. And in business, in this city, it can be hard. In this country, it can be hard. So who's helping you? Who's helping somebody? I'm fortunate that I come from a very, very supportive family, a very supportive community, and doors have been opened for me, opportunities have been created and given to me. But very few people have the same sentiments. Very few people have people rooting for them, people who are willing to create opportunities for them. So that's why I brought BNI, because if we can do business with heart, if we can do business with purpose, if we can do business to help ourselves first and then others, because if you can help yourself, if you can grow yourself, you will be able to carry other people along with you. So I personally don't believe there's a conflict, and I always tell people, if you don't know where you're going, anything and anywhere will look like a final destination. Yeah. But if you know where you're going, when you find it, you will actually say, yes. And that's why most business owners say, they say, I never thought I would find a place where I can sit. We have CEOs of top companies, 20-year companies, very mature businesses, but they say, I never found a place, a community of like-minded people who are willing to help me, who are willing to support me, who are willing to give to me. Yes, the world sometimes demands a lot from them, but in this community we see.
It is said that it is lonely at the top.
Yes.
And it is very true. It is true for CEOs, true for people running organizations, whether they're public, private, whatever. For example, you have a deal you're negotiating, right? It's worth $1 million. If you look, among your circle of friends, there is no person you can really discuss this deal with, right? For various reasons. But when you're in a room like BNI, there are people who are discussing 5 million, 10 million, you're just at status. So they can look at it quickly and say, oh no, do this, and this, right?
Yes.
This is a very strong benefit. And when you say this about, CEOs who are coming in the room and say this, I 100% concur and agree with this. Tell me, you're speaking with great passion, right? The way that you articulate yourself, you can see that you have a strong belief and strong, Throughout the 10 years that you've had BNI running, what, if you think back, do you have a moment that stood out for you and you were literally shocked by what you were experiencing, seeing, or what happened through BNI that you can share?
I've had many moments, but most recently we did what we call a member day, where we invited as many of the business owners as could come from BNI. So many times I see them in pockets. BNI Integrity, BNI Prosper, BNI Sunrise. Those are some of the names of the groups. But this time we said, come together. Let's meet, let's talk, let's celebrate. And as I stood on that stage, I said, yes, this was the dream. This is the dream. Because, it doesn't matter. Color, religion, faith. I mean, we have people from all colors, from different communities, and they're helping each other in business. And for me, there was no better. It was a win. I said, I have done my part. I have done my part. The other one is every 6 months we transition leaders, and we have what we call a leaders gathering, and we meet the leaders and
the leaders of the chapters.
The leaders of the chapters, yes, and just seeing the growth. Just seeing business leaders take ownership and grow, that also really, really inspires me and blesses my heart. And then the human stories. We have a baker called Bake For Me, a very big brand. And Brenda is passionate about helping others. And so we have a small baker called Marigold Confectionery. Nobody may have heard of it. But Brenda has taken it upon herself to help this baker, and she has even gifted her commercial mixer. She has blessed her with knowledge. She's given her insights. She's exposed her to, her business. And for me, that personal story. What does it mean for Marigold now? Where is the vision? Her vision is now out there, and it shows you that abundance is a mindset. It's a way of life. And so just being in a space with givers, for me, is inspiring daily. But those personal stories, I've pulled out some of them, and then the big meetings where you see the dream unfold, those really inspire me. And but it's the personal stories daily that help me overcome the challenges, that help me see beyond the difficulties, yes.
I love the Rebecca story, very, very touching. It's a true giving from wealth that you have. I love that. You mentioned challenges, the question reversed. Any moment that you can pull up where you almost threw in the towel and said, forget BNI, I can't do this anymore.
I think I won't say threw in the towel, but I was, in 2020, COVID came. Now before BNI, we used to meet on physical. So across the world, everybody went online, and I said, what's going to happen locally? And that was a time of elections, and they were switching off internet, and there were many challenges. But also people didn't have internet at their homes. They went into office, they went into town, they had internet in the office. And it was also the moment that I realized I'm not just leading, business owners. I'm leading people.
True.
The challenges they were facing in their homes, with their relatives, friends, personal challenges, falling sick. That's when I realized that I'm not leading, just companies, it's a title, CEO Insights. No, who is Herbert? What is driving Herbert? Why is Herbert living this life? Why is he struggling to make to provide the solution? Why is he passionate about the solution he provides? So that was a turning point for me. I was overwhelmed. I had to transform this whole organization from physical to online. In other countries, you have your online system. Here, you're starting from scratch. You're helping people figure it out. I was on call every day, 23 hours, literally. With global, with local, with members on the phone, supporting my child homeschooling. I remember in 2021, Easter, I think they had opened up a bit. Anyway, I just packed my bags and went away on a personal retreat. I had felt my mind to recoup. My mind, my body, everything was struggling. So that was a very, very hard time for me. That was a very hard time for me. Yeah.
And mentioned recouping. I have a question related to how because you went to Nairobi so this thing,
yes,
and had passion for it. You were so uncanny. You did not have experience.
No, I was 33 years old and I had never run a business. But my mom has always been in business, and but small businesses really, and she still runs a business, small business, literally corner shop, grocery. But I believe in a space where people can help each other, and I saw the opportunity for business owners to help each other grow. So that's what I was bringing, more than my capacity and expertise and skill. Yes, I had never brought together any group of people for any purpose, but for this cause, I believed. Okay,
so when you have these moments, how do you encourage yourself? How do you keep on the edge, because you don't want to slack. You have people looking up to you, hundreds of businesses, CEOs combined, you have thousands of years of experience, right? They are looking at you as the landholder of this thing.
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself updated about anything to do with guiding these people?
So one, I'm a lifelong learner,
Okay.
so I will learn. I learn from everybody. Two, I think life has humbled me. I know it's not about me, and I don't want to be like, oh my, but it's really not about me. But when I hear those stories, those personal stories, I see that growth. I realize that people on their journey, I'm just fortunate enough to be walking with them in this season, but it's not about me. So I look after myself physically and mentally. I do a lot of self-care. I have very close family, very close friends, and I'm able to talk to them. I'm married to a gentleman I met when we were in high school. So again, he's seen me on this journey, keeps me very humble, keeps my feet on the ground.
Right, when you're growing wings,
he just sees that joke and he keeps me humble. Then I have two sons who I get a lot of joy from being around and learning from. So those keep me grounded. My father passed away suddenly by heart attack, and he was larger than life, and I never imagined literally life without him. And then one day, just like that, he was no more. So I'm very aware that each day is a gift. So again, that keeps me grounded, focus. What do I have to do today? But it's not about me. So please do your part. I'm just part of. As I say, part of people's journey in this season, but God is doing a new thing in them each day, in all of us. And then I believe really that God has for each of us a purpose, and you must be available in the season. So in this season, here I am. This is my service. So those really keep me grounded, and I have a wonderful team. So I'm able to literally say, please handle. But I'm literally able to say I'm out, and they will run with it. They will run with it in BNI, at home, in different spaces. So, and I've learned to trust them and rely on them. Some people say over-trust, but I've learned that at least let me course correct in the over-trust, that fail to trust or give little trust and then struggle with that. That's why I transfer ownership and work with you. So also the years have taught me many lessons. So I try to remember those lessons, and I work each day Grateful for each day. Really, I think that is one of my biggest anchors. Just today. Be grateful. It's a beautiful day in Kampala.
Any books, maybe podcast, social, any person you follow for guidance?
Yeah.
Like
John Maxwell is one of those leaders I follow.
Okay.
And why do I follow him? I think he's down to earth. He just speaks very simply. His sentences are short. I find that I'm able to pick up pieces of wisdom for that journey. And then laws. The laws he talks about, laws of leadership, sorry. So I always meditate on those sometimes, and I'm like, okay. So like there's one which keeps me up at night. The leader is the lead. So if you're imagine you have a container, the lead on that container is going to affect the capacity of the people in that space.
Yes.
So I'm always aware of that. Okay? The leader is the lead. So I need to create bigger spaces by taking myself out of the spaces and continuously learning, but understanding that I may be the biggest limitation to the growth of people around me. So how do I create opportunities for them to be exposed so that they can grow in those spaces? Make sense?
Yes.
They are not only in this space. The other one is a book I read, Leadership Without Easy Answers. I can't remember the title, but that book transformed me because I had conflict. It taught me how to navigate difficult spaces and still take ownership, still take charge, not pass it off and say, but own it and then allow us to find a solution. Work with difficult people. Don't just say, I can't work with them because I'm the leader. No. Bring them all on board and see how we navigate. Those two really have shaped.
I think conflict is inevitable.
It is inevitable.
Yes,
but how we handle it, how we look at it, before my first idea of conflict was hide. Maybe it will go. That didn't work well. So I kept adapting. Now it's bring everybody to the table and listen.
You embrace it. I think also the more repetitions you have, the better, the stronger, you can resolve. I like this.
And we were laughing with my husband the other day that when you're the leader, it comes back to you. So the question is, do you want to deal with it now? Or do you want to? Yeah, so decide. But it's yours. It's still your problem.
I like it.
Yeah.
For a young business person, entrepreneur, maybe they didn't know about BNI, but from today they will probably join BNI, right? But for those who cannot afford to join BNI, they don't have the money, they don't have where to borrow it or anything like that, what advice can you share with them at this starting point to grow them to when they can afford to join BNI?
Okay. First of all, they can visit. As I mentioned, we have online chapters. These are free.
Okay.
Two, they can come in for a physical meeting. It's about 70,000 at Skies. But be exposed. Expose yourself, young gentleman, young lady. I think the power of knowledge, the power of seeing. When I saw in Nairobi, I didn't have any money. I didn't have any skill sets. But I believed, and so I came and I executed by faith and by determination. The other thing I said, be resilient. Life will throw stones at you, and I know it's easy to say be resilient, but narrowing it down to daily. What are you doing to make sure you can survive tomorrow? Save. It's a lesson I've had to learn hard, but your business needs to save. You need to save as an individual. And you need to understand that you are serving the business. The business is not serving you. So if you're done serving the business, transition to something else, but build the business, let it grow. If you allow it to grow and thrive, then it will serve you, it will pay you back. But today, you're building, so you're investing in it. So be intentional. Be intentional. For that's breaking down resilience for me. To be resilient, you must have resources. You must save, because if the wind comes and the storm blows and you're not standing, then you're going to be flattened. And you must save daily. If you're in a small business, save daily. Don't wait for when I get that car deal, I'll save. And save for yourself as business owner and save for the business. And the other one, serve the business. Because for me, resilience is showing up. Resilience is just daily keeping the grind going. So if you understand, because when you're self-employed, when you run a local business, sometimes you're like, what do I need? But do you have the time that you actually put aside and say, I'm committing to this and what you want to do? So those are the two, because I'm trying to be very practical. I don't want to be theoretical, but expose yourself. There are spaces where you can expose yourself, and visiting an online BNI meeting or coming in physically to a meeting on Skies is a very good way to expose yourself.
Is there any correlation between BNI and maybe Saccos? Because these smaller businesses tend to join Saccos and create Saccos. Would you say that that is a smaller version of the BNI? Is there some correlation?
Again, I emphasize what's the purpose, to what end. When I was listening to one of the recordings you did here of the CEO who has helped over 2,500 small income earners, umuntu wa wansi,
yes, to buy land.
To buy land.
Yes.
I was amazed. But they saved for a year, and at the end they used a collective pool to buy land. So, what is the purpose of the Sacco? Even in the legal spaces, I've started a Sacco because it pains me when you find lawyers who can't pay for their registration fee. Pains me when you say lawyers can't look after themselves. So I started a Sacco to help them save, so that they can also borrow from this safe space and not fall into the hands of, very, very, very rough money lenders. But for a small business owner, first of all, you must save in a very safe place. So I would first put in unit trusts, and if you're bringing people together, take ownership, take leadership, so that you know where the money is going. What BNI offers is support to grow personally, and you grow your business. Now, sometimes small business owners are very caught up in trying to just survive the day. You must have space for growth, because you must commit time and resources to your growth. And it's very important as a small business owner, you see that, you ask yourself that question: where is the time and where are the resources I'm committed to my growth?
So let's transition to your legal side. You ran for the US presidency. Can you take us back to the start of your career, how you have grown, where you got the idea to run for the US presidency, and how this came up to be?
Interestingly, one thing people don't know about me is that my father is the one who wanted me to do law, and he's the one who encouraged me to do law. And I did law, and I enjoyed the law. What do I enjoy about it? It helps solve social problems. It helps explain a lot of social challenges. And of course, practicing as a corporate commercial lawyer, so I help people solve business challenges and make sure that as they transact, they're able to go into that space comfortably, confidently, and avoid conflict. Now, coming into the Law Society race, I had served on the council, in the Law Society, in the Female Lawyers Committee, which was started by Ruth Sebatindira, and I served there for I think 6 terms, and I had seen that difference a small group of people could make, and I was inspired by the difference we had made, the contribution we had made, and I felt, this is powerful. So 2022, when I decided to run, the biggest driver really was, what difference can I and the leaders that I work with create? Why? I had been around so many people who are negative about the Law Society, who had complaints about the Law Society not meeting members' needs, not supporting members, not providing solutions. And I thought to myself, being a leader in this space before, surely I can contribute today. So I come into the race, and the most interesting thing was people saying, "Who are you?"
And you've been serving for 6
Yes, if you have served, where have you been? We don't know you. And I just realized I had entered a big, huge, I had taken on a big monster dragon to fight. No, but I had taken on a big challenge.
Yes.
My father-in-law, now passed, was very supportive, and he always used to call me and encourage me and ask me questions, how is it going? My husband thought, why are you doing this to yourself?
Right.
Really? Do you need to run this race?
Right.
My family, immediate family, was shocked. They were like, why you? I'm the quiet one, I'm the one who's reserved. So they're like, why are you choosing to run? And I think to everybody I said, I just feel I can make a difference. And my strength really is bringing people together to achieve a common goal. The problems that I saw, the challenges that I saw, really need each and every lawyer to take ownership where they are and contribute by making a difference where they are. Simple things, for example, helping young lawyers. Young lawyers have really been crying and complaining that nobody is supporting them, nobody is helping them. But in the past, providing mentorship to young lawyers through the Uganda Law Society Women's Committee at Law Development Center, and within the events that we used to do, you could see mindset changes. People beginning to transform. I believe for young people, more than resources, they just need to be inspired to see further, dream bigger. Then, in my Rotary Club, I have had a couple of past presidents of the Uganda Law Society, and I say to myself, I can engage, learn from them, and see how I can build up on what their great achievements were, and see how I can contribute. So coming into that space, first of all, I thought it was I mentally thought it was a very professional space. I didn't know it was highly politicized. I don't know if I had known that, whether I would have run, but I'm glad I didn't know, because then I did run. I firmly believed meeting lawyers, listening to their problems, and bringing them together to find solutions to their problems was what would be a game changer. So that's why I ran. I had a very, very, very powerful team. I was surrounded by very good people. And but one funny story I will tell is I went into campaign and I entered one law firm, and being not politically savvy, I had gone alone, and I thought, I'll get a chance to meet people, talk to them, answer questions, and move on to the next law firm. And then somebody asked me that, why are you playing Kadongo Kamu? And I said, what do you mean? And they're like, why are you a one-man army? Where are the other people? Basically, in a race, you're supposed to be showing your entourage and showing we have power. And that's when it dawned on me that I've entered an arena that I didn't know, I'm not sure I had understood. So I got about three people, and literally those are the ones I would work with largely. But I refuse to move with an entourage. I say, that's not me. Running for that race really tested my values. It really, really tested my value system. There are many things that in a political race, for example, sometimes people challenge you to do. And for example, one of the things people were saying that I should run a huge campaign with a lot of media running around following me. And I remember saying no. I said at most I'll use a phone, and I was not going to become, a creature who I could not recognize at the end of the race. It also made me challenge myself on what were my priorities. Because people ask, what problems do you want to solve? And sometimes they don't want to hear the answer. So priorities for me, for example, are everybody needs to take ownership for where they are. And that starts with me, okay? But as I take ownership for where I am, what questions, what solutions am I putting on the table? And many times when I went into the room and I said, okay, these are all the problems you've listed. What solution are you putting on the table? And people did not want to take. They said, you're the ones running, you tell us. And I said, no, but you're the one in the the problems you cite are probably not some are met. So let's create solutions and see how we can solve. And so now for me what that means is, as a leader, do you change your leadership style to suit, or do you prioritize and focus on what you can achieve? So again, it shook me. It shook me because I had to believe in myself in another way. Very few people believed I was capable. I didn't have people saying, you can do it. I had people saying, why? With this very puzzled expression of their faces, like, imagine a chicken said, I want to become a dog. They
Right.
back like a dog, like, why would you? And it also made me question, what am I really capable of? Yeah. Can I do this? And I was proud of myself that I did it, and I ran a successful race.
Experiences.
Yes, I ran a successful race for me. Who had never, people laugh, but they don't know that I've never run for even class monitor. It was my first entry into any kind of elective race, and it was very, very, very challenging because I remember for that month, there's a week I traveled from Hulu, through Lira, through Soroti, through Mbale, Jinja, Iganga, came down, spent a night in Kampala, went down to Mbarara, Kabale in one day. I did Mbarara and Kabale in one day, and had to turn around because we had a press conference, we had an interview, or rather we had an election panel, But I was supposed to have gone to Hoima, Poto, Uganda. So it was a very, very interesting. And then I walked every street in Kampala where there were law firms, visiting law firms.
So you were doing what we call kakuyege, door to door.
Door to door. I do door to door.
How many lawyers are under the ULS?
In Kampala, the number is about 1,500 in Kampala. Yes.
And nationwide?
Nationwide, roughly the numbers about 4,000. The numbers at that time, yes.
Of these, how many did you talk to? Would you say?
Let's just say I talked to many. I reached many offices and I reached many people. Yes.
And when you were getting there, the feedback that you're sharing,
Yeah.
the concerns or whatever,
Yes.
was this generally, negative, neutral, surprise, concern?
Yes. People have real challenges and they need help. Okay. Regarding me personally, there was a question: why should we believe that you can make a difference? Why should we believe? Who are you? That was the main response I was getting. Who are you? Why should we believe that you are the leader to take us to the next season?
And even people who are seasoned even.
Yes, yes. I mean, you go to Bulu and people say, tell us, why should we believe you? But then you also come to Kampala and people say, we can't relate to you. You don't know our challenges. So tell us, how are you going to be relatable? But concerning the issues of the Law Society, people would express themselves, and but I found that there had been the same challenges which people had expressed themselves on before. So I think that either we as lawyers are not able to communicate enough, or we are not able to demand change. But let's see now with the current term if member problems, I'm really focusing on member problems, will be resolved.
When you look at these challenges, and I know there were many, like you described, which one stands out for you that really shook you, or maybe made you question this plan that you had?
Okay. The one which I'm going to is judiciary. Lawyers go to court, get judgments, and they cannot get them executed, or they cannot get hearings, or the frustration is with the lawyer, is with the client, is sometimes the judiciary saying the lawyers are completely incompetent, the lawyers are fraudsters, the lawyers are, So now that challenge, I believe, needs all parties, the clients who use the courts, the lawyers, and the judiciary, to come together and actually address the real issues. But when you look at all three, each of them sort of is running a different race and is out to say, no, point the finger at the other person. But then the question for me is, how do we get those three? A court user, who are both the public and the lawyers, the lawyers who stand in the gap, and the judiciary. How do you get all three to align? And the problem sometimes are resources. The judiciary says you don't have resources. The problem sometimes is planning. There must be breaks, there must be holidays, the judges must be trained so they are not in court. But the problem sometimes is integrity, with both the judiciary and the lawyers. So it's not as simple as saying, I will bring change tomorrow. But those are some of the challenges that really had me thinking, how do you create solutions? How do you bring people together to create solutions?
I have some lawyer friends, and from what they discuss, they go to, handle cases, up countries, and stuff like that. The number one complaint that I hear them mention where challenge is when they get there and the judge who is supposed to be there either did not come, or they have spent a day or two, and then on the day off they have to adjourn, or basically they don't get to address the issue.
Exactly.
And they have to go back on the same case,
And the cost is being borne by, as the end, the person seeking justice. So it's painful. There's a case my mother is involved in. My father bought land and sold it to a third party. He passed away, so my mom is now technically the witness, in my father's place. The third party who bought the land is trying to get possession. The case has been before Kavale court. My mom has to travel as a witness, and she has traveled for over a year, but the case has never been heard. And when the bridge was broken, after PG, she had to go through Sembabule, and still, even that time, the case was not heard. So now imagine the person who's meeting the cost of transporting this witness, facilitating that lawyer, So it's very painful. It's real, there are real problems, but I'm giving you a witness to make a testimony, to give a testimony in a matter where concerning land possession. So how painful it is for all people involved, but again, the answers are not easy. That's what I found. They're not answers you blink and resolve. Yeah.
When there is a political case, I would say, something that hits the main newspapers and all the very controversial issues, for example, as the president of the Law Society, are you required or do you feel compelled to put out a statement to address, especially if it has legal implications?
Okay, so one of the mandates of the Law Society is to uphold the rule of law. And rule of law really speaks to the fact that if there's a law in place, is it actually being adhered to? Or are there hindrances, grey or known and unknown, which affect the laws from being upheld? So different presidents have adopted different modus operandi to deal with such. Some have literally gone to court to challenge certain positions being taken by the state. Some have issued statements, and personally, there's no easy answer. So each case must be dealt with on its own merits. But I believe there's always a space for dialogue, and there's always a place to keep the main focus on the things that are at stake. Don't get lost in the sensationalism. But find the answers. I believe the Law Society has a duty to find the answers and bring them to light, to speak the truth, okay, and engage. So it's not again just one answer of issuing statements. It's actually to what end, what change are you going to create? How do you make it consistent so that you transform, not just how do you announce yourselves and pronounce yourselves. So I think my experience and my approach to life is that it's not about standing on the table. It's not about shouting on the rooftop. It's about getting on the ground and actually walking the journey. What does that mean? I'm trying to simplify what it means. For me, what it means in the law society, for example, today, is if you don't address the fact that lawyers are not getting good measure for the value they put, which means they are not able to eat. Yeah? It means they are going to be corrupt and corrupted. It means they are going to find fraudulent means to survive. But how do we engage this lawyer? Because it's not about the law society creating opportunities for them. It's about asking, how do we engage such that with these opportunities, because the opportunities that are available to you are alive to you, how do we create that awareness that you can seize these opportunities and run with them? And again, not everybody has the same opportunities, quote unquote. They say there are always over 1,000 lawyers being released into the marketplace. How do we address that? It's a real issue. How do we address it? Because they are trying, they are struggling, they are fighting to find their way. I think as a law society, our focus should be on the members and then using the members in this fight to uphold the rule of law. Not to go out, fight the rule of law and, So I think there are no easy answers. I think that it's not a one-day solution. I think it doesn't take one man, one hero, one woman. I think that each of us have a part to play, and I think that until we own our part in the whole process, there's a joke that who's corrupt? You offers the policeman a bribe, or the policeman who receives it. Who's corrupt? Yeah. So I think that it starts with us. It starts with us. The answers start with us. And as a leader, it's, for me, I believe it would be up to the leader to engage so that everybody can contribute in whatever the fight is, the bigger fight is. Yes. And does it take time? Yes.
You described the challenges within the law, the ULS, and going on there. But for you, on a personal level, when you were running for the presidency, what was your, I would say, biggest challenge or lowest point when you went back home and said, should I really continue?
Yeah. My biggest challenge actually is the physical exhaustion. You literally walk the streets and I don't know, 30 days on the road, on the street, every day, and you finish the physical part, then you get on calls, then you're strategizing with your team, then you're making calls, so it really, the physical challenge, the physical burden, I felt it. When I remember when the day after elections, I just went to the room, had dinner in Entebbe and just slept. And just rested. I remember telling myself, I remember thinking, I'm going to be able to rest after this? You mean it's going to, oh wow, I can't wait for, 9th, I think it was 9th September. The other challenge was, they say in the midst of many, there's counsel, but who is the many? So selecting the advice that I was getting was so tough.
To filter that was a personal challenge, because everybody wants to know, everybody is meaningful, but everybody is telling you, look this way, look that way, look this, do that. And I remember my father-in-law, he passed away in 21 year now, but he used to call me at the end of every day and ask me the right question. He'd say, are you okay? Okay. Remember that God is with you on this journey, and it is Him who determines the winner. Okay? Okay. So keeping the faith, keeping grounded, yeah. I really was really, gently blessed me greatly. Every day, are you fine? What is the current struggle? What is the biggest challenge? So I would have that space to bounce off ideas, share my burdens, and then
they would always remind me, God is the one who determines. So it is well.
Did you at any point feel that you would lose the race?
I knew I came in. Have you ever entered a race and you're a baby? Mm-hmm. And the adult grown men, why do I say this? Because the candidate I was running against had been running before, had his machinery on the ground. The other teams that had been there had different machinery on the ground. So I was literally the one-man army who was building up momentum as I went along. I believe in doing my best always in everything. I know I put in everything I had. Coming second with over 700 voters for me was a vote of confidence, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful I did it. I'm grateful to each one and everyone who supported me in the journey. I'm grateful because Herbert tested me. It challenged me, as I told you, it challenged my value system, it challenged my, what you think is important, and it allowed me to actually look in the mirror and say, okay, Diana, this is who you are. This is what you stand for, and even in the midst of very, very tough times, you will remain true to that.
We're there.
I remember the first time I met somebody to talk about the journey, and they told me, be prepared, your whole life is going to go into scrutiny.
Yes.
They are going to expose you.
Yes, and the question of that.
Yes, and then she told me, so go back, look through your life again, and be sure that when you come out, you can face and stand the scrutiny. So again, that scrutiny, that eye on you, again, it tested me. So I'm glad I'm still standing.
Well, there are some people, maybe like close friends, that Sacco that you talked about,
yes,
who perhaps told you, you know what, just give up, just pull out of this, it's too much,
So it was tough engaging them and telling them this is what I'm going for now in this season. Yeah. We had, I think, 4 ladies in the race also. So people said 3, I think. So people said, why would you all choose to stand as women? Why don't you allow
one person to go
through? So that was also a challenge. And then the other is, why did you choose to stand for president? Why don't you stand for vice president? You don't have to be president. And I kept saying, no, my leadership style is I lead from the front. In this case, I believe in leading from the front. In other cases, I may lead from the back or the middle. But in this case, so that also was quite contentious with some of my very close in the Sacco.
Did you feel at any one time that maybe because you're a lady, you were being looked at?
No, it came out. It came out very clearly, very strongly. They said we cannot vote another lady after immediate past president being a lady. They said she doesn't look very serious. She's always smiling. But again, I've learned in life that people will judge you, will make assumptions, but at the end of the day, what do you believe about yourself? And don't change yourself to suit.
There is a saying, a joke actually, the pastor went and told the non-believer, right? Oh, did you know that Jesus walked on water? And the non-believer said, well, that's because he could not swim. If he could swim, he would have to walk on water. So you're right. You frown, they say you frown too much. You smile, they say you smile too much. I agree.
So, but me being a woman who played out very, very strongly in the race. Yeah.
Given your legal career and BNI, what knowledge, skills, and abilities do you see that are transferable from your legal side into BNI? And then from BNI into the legal side.
So I'm a transactions lawyer. I'm always sitting at the table, facing another team, trying to find a middle ground and find answers to problems so that we can close deals. So in BNI, I'm always sitting at the table with people, right? Trying to get them to see a common goal, common good that we can achieve together. So one, listening. It's a very simple skill, but as a lawyer, if you don't listen to your client, you're not going to get it right. You're not going to be able to communicate it right. And if you don't listen to the other team, you're not going to be able to get what they want so that you can frame it and achieve it. So that is very important. I listen. I try very hard to listen deeply. and help people find common ground. Because when they find the common ground, then they can each pull into it and go further. Yeah, they can harness the power of both sides and achieve even greater goals. The other thing from my legal career, I don't want to say, but lawyers are problem solvers. When you go to a lawyer, you expect them to have answers.
Of course.
So we must keep learning, we must keep researching, we must consult, we must have pools where we can get some wisdom and come and share it. People want from their lawyers are answers, not more problems. Solutions. So in the BNI space, I realize business owners want to achieve success. So cut through the chase, show them this is how you can achieve success. BNI is an avenue, but it takes A, B, C, D. If you do this right, you will be able to achieve success. So keep it simple and cut through the chase. That's what I try to do. And understand the business owner's problem and point them in the right direction for the solution of BNI. Okay? Lawyers are leaders. Sometimes, just by virtue of being a lawyer in a community, you're seen as a leader. Many times, maybe we're in the 2% of the community where we are. So that the privileged 2%. So coming into BNI, I'm trying to create as many leaders as I can, because by virtue of being a business owner, you have a whole ecosystem around you. By virtue of being a lawyer, people assume you're learned. People assume you have knowledge. But by virtue of being a business owner, you actually have knowledge, you have power. If you're paying someone a salary, you're changing that person's life and the destiny of their village, Recently, someone was telling me her school fees was paid by her brother who was a petrol pump attendant.
Wow.
She was coming in Kisoro and was paying her school fees.
Wow.
Now imagine that. How many times do you pass by a fuel station, don't look at the petrol pump attendants, fuel, drive off. But that business owner running that petrol station is sustaining villages somewhere by virtue of the fact that it's providing employment to that petrol pump attendant. So that's the power of business owners, to change their communities, change our country, because they're able to drive. When they put money in people's hands, they drive the engine of the economy. People can go to school, people can pay rent, people can buy food, and other people can thrive. So bringing that back to bringing leadership and power back into BNI, I try to create the space that you are a very powerful leader and equip you and hopefully send you to change the world. Yeah. So I know they are not conventional, but for me, it's about mindset. And once you figure that out, these physical obstacles you can overcome. So my father came from Kabale district. As a young man, went to school in Butobere, Mwiri College, and then found employment in the city. But for a long time, we lived opposite Makerere University main gate.
Okay.
And he used to challenge us, and he used to say that you've lived here at the university. Surely you cannot fail to go to university, because someone else from Karamoja, someone else from Kisoro, who has never seen the university, heard of the university, is working hard, and one day he will reach this university. And you who has lived opposite the university, can you fail to get in? So that's the thing I always challenge myself about in life. I tell myself, Diana, someone with less privileges than you has been able to conquer and summit, achieve certain goals. What of you, who has had the amazing privileges you've had, the support you've had? Surely, if you set yourself to that, can't you achieve it? So that's why I believe very much in exposure. People need to be exposed to know that there's something bigger to achieve. If you allow them, they'll stay fighting for the small pieces of land. But if you expose them to bigger things, they'll go and achieve bigger goals.
Regarding the advocacy work that you're doing, tell me more about this.
So I'm part of a program called Project Girls for Girls. It's a global project, and it was born out of Harvard University by a group of ladies who attended the Harvard Kennedy School on leadership and on governance, Harvard Kennedy School of Governance. And they picked up lessons on leadership which they wanted to share with the girls and women in their parts of the world. Girls and women who would not have a chance to go to Harvard and learn at the feet of these great leaders. Why? They were trying to answer the question, why are there few women in leadership positions at the table? And this problem they experienced was covering countries from where they came. So the founder from Africa is called Diana Ninsiima, and she's born in Uganda. And when she came back to Uganda with this powerful program, she was able to engage me, and I was able to sign on. So in about 2016-17, we started in secondary schools, and we have grown into corporate spaces. But today we are currently in districts like Kisoro. As far as Kisoro, we are in corporate spaces, as I mentioned, but we have special groups for women in women in sports, women with disabilities, women living with HIV. We have diverse groups, age groups from 15, 19, 20, 30, 40, and I'm country lead currently. But what we focus on is empowering women and girls to lead. There are two arms to that. The first one is how do we help create a pipeline of women leaders such that when women are called to the table, they are ready and willing. Such that when women see a seat, a space, that they are willing and ready to put up their hands and take it. They don't have to be called, begged, cajoled. They are willing and able to say, here I am, I'm capable. The second one is women taking action. One of the things we believe is that you have the power to create the change you want to see. How about you want to see a certain change? I want to see a certain change come about. So I have the power to create the change I want to see. You have the power to create the change you want to see. So we anchor it around vision. Everyone has a vision, but many times women, their vision is someone puts blinders on you. As a woman, you can't do that. Do you even have the resources? Do you have the education? And you say, okay, maybe I can sacrifice my vision. I can give it up. We anchor that with courage, because if you can see it, believe you can achieve it, and take the small steps daily to achieve it, and then we surround that with skill. Because as a leader, you need two critical skills around communicating and negotiating for yourself first and for others. So that the framework focuses on mentorship. How do we mentor? We mentor in groups, in Saccos, and each group, the biggest we do is 30 ladies, and these will be different ages, so 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 and above. Also, it will be different spaces. I've told you we're in Kisoro, in secondary school. We have been in, we've been in Nakasongola, but we also have different women groups, as I mentioned, women in sports, women with disabilities, women living with HIV/AIDS. But all these groups are to ensure there's inclusion, that everybody understands principally that you are very powerful and you can make that change you want to see in the space you are. So to date, we have over 6,000 mentees who have gone through this program, and we have over 500 mentors.
On this work that you're doing,
Yes.
over 6,000 mentees,
Yes.
and that's incredible. Do you have maybe a success story or something you can share with us to show the impact of this work to these people?
So, yes, I have many stories.
Okay.
The first I'll share is a very powerful story of a doctor called Dr. Ivy and Kasiria. And Dr. Ivy used to work with Mild May, with young girls living with HIV/AIDS, young babies. So as time grew, the medication was available, and they were able to grow stronger and live beyond adolescence. And then the question became, who's looking after these young girls? Because care stops at a certain age, maybe adolescence. So first it was for young children, and then maybe a bit adolescents, but who's looking after these young adults? So Dr. Ivy, using the G4G model, brought together a community of young girls living with HIV, and we ran 3 cohorts. We've mentored, I think, over now, they're close to 100 girls. But the powerful stories of these girls is that where at a certain point society had put them on the side, said you don't matter. Today they own their story and they've taken leadership. We have one Brenda who has actually started an NGO to empower other young girls in her community, to help advocate for the rights of young girls, teenagers who are abused in her community. Why? Because she learned through Girls for Girls, through her mentor Ivy, that as a leader, she has the power to create change. She's engaged the church, she's engaged the local community, the district, to say what solutions are we providing for women and girls. Her voice has been heard in rooms with Ministry of Health and donors because she has a powerful story. She can tell the story of a young girl who's walking the journey. So all that mindset change came from Dr. Ivy saying, I'm going to bring together a community. Dr. Ivy had power, but she could not create change unless she brought these young girls on board. And now they're using their own voices and they're using their own power to change the narrative. Another story, Connie is 28 years old. She's a young mother. And because she had walked that journey of having a child early, she understood the pain and stress that young mothers go through. In her case, her mother was close to her and told her, "Mwana wangu jakusoma. My daughter, you will go to school, you will go back to school." And so she made it possible for her to go back to school, supported her in raising her daughter. Today, Connie is employed, comfortably raising her daughter. Now, there are many young girls out there who give birth at 15, 16, life ends, school, they can't go to school, maybe the relationship doesn't work out, maybe the family actually abandons them. So Connie has planted a seed. She built up her own initiative, Phoenix Girls Initiative, and she's actually doing outreaches for these young girls and women and helping them to build lives. How? She's skilling them. She's training them so that they can go out and provide for their children and for themselves. So again, mindset. Before, Connie would ask herself, what can I do? I have this power in my heart, this passion for these young women and young mothers. But today she knows she can make a difference. So our model is very practical because the first session around building trust asks you to cast your vision, to write it down. Because as a leader, you need to walk with clear vision. Everything that happens to you happens to advance your vision, both good and bad. So if you don't have clarity, you may easily get stuck when you feel something has happened and it's bad. So vision defines a leader, because a leader with vision is able to see further, see beyond obstacles, and actually able to pace themselves and say, okay, this is how far I can go. Today, this is what I need to achieve. Tomorrow, this is what I need to achieve. A leader with vision is able to say, these are the partners I need, and is able to bring them on board and to engage them so that they can actually achieve the vision. A leader with vision appreciates the essence of time. Now, time is a gift for all of us, and if you don't appreciate that, then you don't use it wisely. So a leader with vision is able to use time wisely. So that is our first module. What is the vision? Write it down. And then we really tackle the hard things. What is stopping you? What do you feel is standing in your way? What are you afraid of? Now, our second module on courageous leadership, breaks the mold that a courageous leader is one who doesn't show fear, who has no fear, who's not vulnerable. And we're able to show these women and girls a courageous leader is that leader still who's afraid to take even the next step. Is that leader who's vulnerable. I remember we saw Jacinta Ardern of New Zealand cry, share her empathy when there were bombings in New Zealand. But she was a strong leader. Actions were taken, but it's allowed to be vulnerable. It's allowed not to know the next step, but you can't get stuck. So we emphasize you can't get stuck on indecision. Navigate to the next immediate point that you can see, and then from there, continue growing, but don't allow to get bogged down when life's challenges get in the way, because it happens to all. So we share stories of women who have actually fought their fight and are still fighting their own fight, but remaining courageous and true to their vision. Our third and fourth module are skills modules. So third module is on art of communication. How do you communicate with clarity, persuasively, and how do you communicate to inspire? And in that module, we emphasize on the power of our stories, individual stories, the power of our collective stories. As Ugandans, we have powerful stories of joy, of hope, of community. We believe and we know that we are Ubuntu. What matters to my neighbor matters. I care. But it's also the story of you. Who are you? Where were you born? What does it mean? And we empower these women to tell their story. Dr. Ivy's story of having worked with babies born with HIV, nurturing them into adolescence, and seeing their pain as they navigate the world as young women is what led her to start the cohort for women living with HIV. Connie's story of having had a baby early is what navigated her passion. It's what directed her passion, you know what I mean? It's what set her course to actually reach out to women and girls who give birth early and need support, because her mother was her support. She said, I'll be there for that girl because my mother was there for me. So my story is that I was born into a family with many women. We're over 7 sisters. And my dad's family, my mom had 5 girls and 1 boy. And I've seen, that journey of pulling together through thick and thin, riding the storm. And it's that story I take into the community and I say, we can do this. Not I, not just you alone, but we. So the power of the story brings together the emphasis that you can stand up and speak into any space if you use your story. Barack Obama, his story, divisive as it was, challenging as it was to others, it's what he used to bring America together and say, a young man born to an immigrant, single mother, I believe we can. And many people saw themselves reflected in that. So it allows you to reach an audience wider than just your immediate, just the people you want to connect with, because people resonate with your story. The fifth module is around, or fourth module, which is also a framework module around skill, is negotiating for self and others. And here we're changing again the mindset. Women don't believe they're good negotiators, but women are best negotiators because they're negotiating every day with their children, with the market woman, on the street, with the husband, yes. And they can create harmony in all that. So when they go into the workplace, when they go into the world, can they take that confidence that actually I can negotiate? And we use a very simple framework from Harvard, the U model, starting with you, putting yourself first. What do you want? What are you looking to achieve? What's the vision? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? O stands for others. Who are your allies? As many times when we don't look for allies, we say we're fighting it and I'm fighting it alone. Who are the allies? How can they help? But also, who are the detractors? Who are pulling? Who want this? Who don't want this to go along? How do you engage them? How do you bring them closer? Maybe you need to take the whole picture to them, not just the idea today. Yeah, and then the U is understanding. Seek first to understand what is the best alternative negotiated settlement you can reach. Not just what do I want, but how are the others' concerns and needs brought on the table. So. Very simple framework used in very powerful spaces, but for our everyday woman and girl today here in Uganda, it allows them to prioritize themselves and then think of others. Because only when you are can you carry others. And then the other module is about running for office and public service. And this is one where we've seen a lot of change. We've seen women run for office because of the modules. I know I ran for office because Girls for Girls challenged me. Said if you can lead, if you can make a difference, step up. And I know that I was inspired by the stories I had had. in the Girls for Girls space, which inspired me to lead at that level. And so many other women we meet who tell us, I stood for position in this, I accepted a position on the board, I put up my hand for a position in the office, I stood for leadership in my community, in my association because of Girls for Girls. And then the last module is about ethics and values in decision making, and the emphasis on that as a leader, it may not always be black or white, it may be gray, but how do you rely on your value system to find answers and make decisions and lead others? Yeah. So very, very powerful program, very practical because it focuses on you and the change you can create by leading, and it challenges you to step up and lead.
So you also hold them accountable for,
yes.
For example, this leadership section, I did this, I stood for this.
Yes. And then we come on monitoring and evaluation after, and we follow up. And you find women have actually taken action to change their lives and the lives of those around them.
So, law, BNI, you have a practice your own.
Yes, I'm in practice with 2 partners.
Okay,
yes.
So you have that, then you have BNI, you have this program. How are you able to juggle these? I mean, the strong team is there, but
yes.
you mentally or your own operational style, how do you do this?
First of all, it all ties within my sense of purpose. I want to build leaders. I want to create leaders where they learn. I want to empower leaders. So, even in my home space, I tell people my home manager is a leader because she has to take charge when I'm not there. So, have I empowered her? Have I equipped her? Have I encouraged her? So, it's my ethos. Wherever I am, I'm building leaders, I'm creating leaders by giving them the platform, giving them the space, I'm equipping them, I'm empowering them by ensuring their resources and their tools for skilling. They're getting the skilling they need and their resources to actually be empowered to act. Yeah. So those spread out across. In BNI, it's leaders in the business community. In Girls for Girls, it's women leaders. In the legal space, it's lawyers. It's leaders who are lawyers to address the problems we have there. The whole essence is build, create, equip leaders so that they can go and transform the spaces where they are. Personal spaces, community spaces, home spaces. One of the stories that comes to mind is a story of a young doctor we met in medical school. She had not yet graduated. And when we were doing the course and telling them, you're a leader, take that leadership mantle and go out and make a difference. In her community, there was a couple and there was daily domestic violence. So she one day went at a convenient time, knocked on the door, went into the room, and educated the couple on the dangers of domestic violence.
Wow.
And she was able to explain to the husband, using her medical expertise, that every day you beat this lady, there's actually trauma. Physical trauma, emotional trauma, mental trauma, and in case anything happens to her, you can actually be liable for her death. Now, imagine, where would I have found the time or the knowledge that there's a woman being battered in that community? But this young girl who was living in that community, daily facing the burden of hearing the pain of another woman, was able to go in using her power as a medical student and educate. You see, it's a different conversation from accuse, berate, abuse, but educate. And that was an end to domestic violence in that community. So that's how much power each of us has to be the change that our community needs. I think if we can change each community, then Uganda will be better. It doesn't sometimes start at the top, it starts in the grassroots.
Then, when you look at the entire portfolio that you're managing, the work, the efforts, what you're doing, people you're touching, what do you want to be known for?
I honestly want to be known as a person of integrity. A person who, in the morning, is the same as the person in the evening. The person who, when you meet at dawn, is the one you meet at dusk. Why is that important to me? When all is said and done, Great men have lived and done great things. I love history. I'm a history buff. I read and watch documentaries. Okay? But at the end of the day, beyond what is said about me, I want to die with integrity. Like having lived a life where I honor debt to God, to man, and especially to my family. Yeah. So I want to live, and I want to be remembered as a person who did what she said she would do, and had many failings, but consistently fought to be a better person.
One lesson that you want to leave with our viewers, look at your entire life, your entire career, one or two key mantras that you want to leave with them.
Okay, one of them is to trust the process. If you want to be a doctor, it's going to take you a bit more time than if you want to be a different professional, an accountant. If you want to be the best doctor, it's definitely going to take you more time than the average doctor, both on job, on the word, or whatever specialty, and learning. So trust the process. You can be what you want to be, but you've got to put in the work, and you have to trust the process. A baby is born after 9 months. If they are born before, they are at risk, and they continue to be at risk for their life. That's one mantra I want to leave them with. The other one is know your values. I think if you know your values, then you can live a life of integrity. And never be too full of self. Never let pride deceive you. We can all fall. We're all human. So don't judge, but at the same time, manage yourself. If you know there are spaces where you are more vulnerable or you are more liable to fall, manage yourself. Make sense? And then the last one is trust God. Because in all things, He knows, He sees, and if you trust Him for today, there's already provision for tomorrow, and there's already providence, a path for tomorrow. Yeah.
I think also this is something that your father-in-law instilled in this.
Yes. My mother, my father, yeah, and then definitely my father-in-law. Yes, he used to give the example that imagine a child in a very crowded space, like a park, with many people. When they're holding an adult's hand, how comfortable are they? They're at peace, they enjoy the environment. Immediately they let go. They are disoriented, they're scared, they're alone. So he says that's how you should hold on to, that's how you should walk daily, holding on to the hand of God.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
I really had a nice time.
Same.
I enjoyed myself.
Same.
Thank you for being here and sharing your experiences.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best.
Thank you.
We wish you continued success and growth in everything that you touch.
Thank you so much.